Real estate was not something that I thought I would be doing full time now. I went through a lot of deals for a lot of months that just didn't make sense, and this one just made a lot of sense, perfect sense. So did the deal. It was awesome. I was a little nervous because that was around the time that the interest rate started to kind of raise. Everybody was very, very nervous. They didn't know what was going to happen. But we sold it, and I think we even sold it for 100,000 to something like that over asking of what we
Oh,
even
wow.
wanted for it. So everything worked out perfectly, and I've been doing real estate since.
How's your energy today, first off?
It's good. It's good. It's Friday, so it's good. Excited, for the new month to start tomorrow. Ready to do some great things before the new year clicks out.
Good. It's
Yeah.
it's Halloween, and we're sitting here recording this podcast, and I just want to give everybody like the quick background of Yasmin, like going through pre-med, doing the business you do, someone who has a passion for beauty and fashion, real estate investor. Like there's so much to you, and I think often, I remember starting in business at 21, and sometimes it feels as a young entrepreneur like either A, you feel alone because you're the youngest person in a lot of
Yeah.
rooms, or B, it's like you wonder if people are like judging you because of your age sometimes. You ever struggle with that?
Yeah, occasionally. I think now I'm more secure in what I'm doing, but definitely in the beginning I did feel that way.
So I want to talk a little bit about that, but first, tell me how the real estate investing, since this, we talk a lot about real estate on this podcast and life, like the first $300,000 deal, right? Was your first deal?
Yeah, it
Can you
was.
just bring me up to speed? Like, how did this start, and how old were you?
Yeah, so real estate was not something that I thought I would be doing full time now. I was just like, as I progress in life, of course, I'll buy property and, rent it out, whatever the case may be. But I just needed a shift, and real estate seemed to me the easiest, barrier of entry for me to do that shift. So I just gave it my all and came across a deal. It was a fix and flip deal. And I went through a lot of deals for a lot of months that just didn't make sense, and this one just made a lot of sense, perfect sense. So did the deal. It was awesome. My dad actually ended up becoming my private money lender. I didn't understand that structure at the time, but he was my private money lender, and then his private money lender was a business line of credit. So we did the deal, fix and flip. He walked me through everything. It was a great experience. And sold it. It sold very, very quickly. I was a little nervous because that was around the time that the interest rate started to kind of raise. Everybody was very, very nervous. They didn't know what was going to happen. But we sold it, and I think we even sold it for 100,000 to something like that over asking of what we
Oh,
even wanted
wow.
for it. So everything worked out perfectly, and I've been doing real estate since.
What year was that? 22 or 23?
Wow. I believe 2023. 23.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very cool.
2022, maybe 2022. I don't know. The timelines have
Yeah. Okay.
all seem to become the same.
That's awesome. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
I wanna dive into that deeper because I know you're going to inspire a lot of people who's listening today, whether they're brand new starting out or doing business already. But I want to point out you not only run the real estate investing business as business partners with your dad, but
Yes.
also you run a funding company together, helping people get business lines of credit. I want to talk a little bit about that and
Okay, awesome.
understanding that because that's something when I started for the first several years, like I had no idea that even existed. Like there was access to capital like that. But first, like I know you're into beauty and fashion. I know you love life. You love traveling. You love doing cool stuff. Like, who is Yasmin as the person outside of all the cool business stuff you do?
Yeah, I'm just someone that's super down to earth. Like you said, I love to travel. I love life. Just someone who likes to enjoy her time. I love people. Love connecting with people. So just something that I enjoy a lot. And I love family, of course. Family is very, very big for me. So you can either find me traveling or spending a lot of time with family, majority of the time, outside of, doing real estate and doing business.
You said something not too long ago to my team that you learn to control the little voice in your head.
Yes.
And being a young entrepreneur, successful, crushing it in many aspects, but hit roadblocks. Anybody who's running a business is hitting roadblocks. You
For
have
sure.
problems, you're solving them. Like, how do you stay so grounded? What's the mindset or the habit or the thing that keeps you going and grounded, working with family, working multiple businesses? Like,
Yeah.
how do you manage that?
Well, I will say, it does take, you know, work and intention to keep yourself grounded for sure at all times. But I think the one thing for me really is just reminding myself of, the goal, the end goal, what I'm working towards, what I'm building, just reminding myself that, hey, this is what you're building, this is what you're working towards. Take a breather and just reevaluate yourself and then, get back in the game. So that's just something that I remind myself of, especially times when things could get a little hectic, especially, being young or as a business owner, there's so much stuff going on. So that's something that I remind myself of.
I like that. You read a lot of books?
Yes, I do. Probably not as frequently as I should. I'm working on that. But yes, I do read. I love to read.
That's something that I didn't start for a very long time. And so
Yeah.
I love hearing that because as you're growing in business, I think there's such a wealth of wisdom. I know you, your dad, your family, the whole crew, you guys all stay around great minded people.
Yes.
And I know that's a game changer. But what's that been like for you? What took you from the journey of, not wanting to follow in your dad's footsteps as a real estate investor to being like, I like this business most days. Like what is that? What is that shift? What took you from there to there?
Really, I think it was just me kind of realizing, like, okay, this is something, going to maybe meetups, watching things online. Around the time I was getting into real estate, it was kind of like that social media transition around, the pandemic. Before social media was just like, post a picture of your lunch and then go about your day. But I feel like that time during the pandemic, social media had a huge shift. Things were becoming more based online. So we were becoming exposed to a lot more things going on. So just seeing, things online where, people are doing real estate and they're doing very well. And it started to realize, okay, this is not what I maybe thought it was. So it started to pique my interest, connecting with more people doing real estate as well. And then also just being at a point where I just view everything where, I'd rather do it, try it. And if it doesn't work out, I didn't lose anything. Worst case scenario, I gained a lesson. So I just started to look at it like that and tell myself, well, let me try this out, experience it. And, worst case scenario, I gained a lesson out of it. And now, I know maybe this is not something I want to do. So that, and I did it and I tried it and I really fell in love with it, the process, just the business as a whole. I really, fell in love with everything about it. And so I've been doing it since. And I think that was just the shift. And I was like, okay, it's not as bad working with my dad as I would have thought. So it's actually been very, very great working with family. So that's just something that just kind of naturally came about on its own.
How? Because I work with family. I
Yeah.
work, of course. Leo and I were chosen
Yes.
brothers. We work together closely. Michelle, my sister, works with us. Aaron works with us in a lot of capacities. Working with family can be a huge gift and also has its unique challenging times, right?
Yes.
Like what's the secret to going home with a loving family at night and not strangling each other during the day? Like how do you navigate that?
Yeah, I think one thing that has helped is just early on established, hey, business is business. We got the business hat on. It's not, the family member hat, things like that. So just setting that clear boundary that, during certain times it's business, nothing personal. I'm not, we have a disagreement or anything like that, it's not because I'm doing it purposely or it's not personal. It's just, hey, it's business. This is, I have to tell you this for you to grow, or I have to tell you this so we can advance. And, just having that open policy as well, especially with my parents because we're fairly close, so we kind of already have an open policy outside of business. So just being able to know like, hey, you can tell me things about myself, and I can tell you things about yourself as well. So I think having that policy sometimes, depending, things do get heated, so it may drag on a day or things like that. But we have a very clear, strict policy of, hey, this is separated at the times it needs to be separated, and when it doesn't, it's not. So just having that boundary, I think, is very helpful.
I think that's good perspective because communication solves all. When you know where it comes from, sometimes things that could be taken the wrong way or taken the right way because it comes from love or wanting to see you grow or everybody heading toward the same goal. So even if the perspective is different, I like that. If you don't mind, Yasmin, you're here, we're having this podcast, you're running multiple businesses, and being a young entrepreneur, like, if you don't mind me sharing as much as you're comfortable with sharing, like what's been some times that maybe you got punched in the face kind of, like what's been some of those moments where like entrepreneurship, there's another young entrepreneur listening to this or somebody who just started in real estate investing and the deal just fell through. Like what's one of the worst times you got punched in the face personally, financially, and business? And how did you maintain through that? Like, how do you speak? Because I think there's a Bible quote that talks about being saved by Christ, of course, but by the word of our testimony. Because there's power in the testament, the thing we've been through. And you have always inspired me because you're tenacious, you're a powerful young lady, you're charismatic, you know how to communicate well, you present well. But I'm sure looking in the mirror, like to you, it's just you, right?
Yeah.
so I looking in the mirror and it's just you and you got punched in the face. Like, how is that? When did that happen? How did you work through that? Kind of take me through that journey.
Yeah. Well, I think that kind of started from the beginning of my journey, transitioning out of college and of course, you transition out of especially younger entrepreneurs that are striving for that. We may not be financially where we want to be just yet. So that transition as well, I think you're just more so when you're on that journey, you have to remind yourself that it's a working process. It's not going to happen overnight. Sometimes it does happen overnight. But more times than not, it's something that it just takes you showing up every day. So I think that is something that, I would tell everyone is just keep showing up every day. As long as you're showing up, doing the right things, everything will pan out for you. Especially, people that are my age, we live in the era of instant gratification. So it's very quick. I see a lot of young entrepreneurs, they get into something, but if it doesn't pay them within 30 days or give them the result that they want, they're on to the next thing. But I think if you are really working towards building something worth building, it takes time, and challenges do come up, whether it be financially or, like you said, the deal falls through or, maybe you didn't get a chance to establish the connection you needed to establish to take your business to the next level. Things like that do come up and do happen. But I don't think it's anything to get discouraged about. I think it's more so you just got to learn how to pivot at all times. If something does not go your way or go the way that you want it to, just learn to pivot. There's something else that you need to do or keep doing, and you'll get that end result eventually.
I think that's great perspective. Somebody listening to this and maybe, it's easy to get amped on the wins, right?
Yeah.
You get the $300,000 check. You're like, I'm a winner. I'll never fail. and then the 7 deals fall through in a row, and you're like, this business sucks. and so that roller coaster, I think, is what makes us, though. As humans, as men, as women, as entrepreneurs. So, kudos to you for just continuing on and continuing to show up. I like that feedback. Question for you on the business side, Yasmin. When it comes to real estate investing, what's been surprising to you in real estate that maybe it's surprising how easy something is or surprising how difficult something is or how the flow of money works? being young and being a real estate investor too, a lot of people, probably everyone listening to this podcast, wants to invest in real estate. It's
Yeah.
like, what's that surprise to you that it's like, oh, well, this is shocking and everybody should know this thing?
I would say that the business is challenging, but the business is very easy. It's a lot easier than what I could have ever thought it would be. And maybe that's just because I'm doing something that I feel that I'm in alignment with. But for me, I just feel like the business is very easy. I mean, from, if you're doing real estate, talking to sellers, getting the deals on a contract, going through that whole process, getting it through closing. If you're wholesaling it, finding the buyer is easy. If you're going to close on it yourself and you want to use private money, that's very easy, as long as you're making the right connections and getting the right deals in the contract. So I think it can be challenging, but it's still fairly easy than, what I would have thought it would. And that was very surprising to me. The more, I continued and progressed in doing more deals, I was like, okay, this is really easy. It's just, and essentially it's just math. Like, that's it. It's as long as you can add and subtract and maybe multiply and divide. I mean, the business is fairly easy.
So I talk a lot about Bob Slope, I'm owner finance own lease option. You got your start fix and flipping.
Yes.
What is someone who, because everybody's perspective is different. I tell somebody, if you need a fast check, go wholesale a deal.
Yeah.
If you want to torture yourself, go fix and flip a deal. If you deal with contractors and rehab, if you want to build legacy wealth, go do some Bob Slope deals. Like, what's that thing, somebody listening to this going, gosh, I've been wanting to get started in real estate. I've been coming up with all these reasons why I can't, or it shouldn't, or the market's not going to let me, or the president's not going to let me, or whatever bullcrap excuses we can tend to tell ourselves.
Yeah.
What would you say to them? Like, what is the thing they could just go do, like, immediately when this podcast is done, like, go take an action and start moving the needle forward?
Well, I would say first they need to evaluate, like you said, what do they want? Do they want to build legacy wealth? Do they need to get a check? But essentially, I would say you just got to get a deal in the contract. I tell everyone that buying, you make your money when you buy. So you're gonna buy any property the same. The only difference is the exit strategy. So you're gonna buy it, and when you go to buy it, as long as you kind of look at that and say, okay, do I have an exit strategy to wholesale this, or buy on a owner finance and sell on lease option, whatever the case may be. So I would say the easiest way I learned, especially doing the creative deals from you, is go on Zillow, just start calling. Start calling, asking them questions about their house, why they're wanting to sell, what they're looking at, what are they looking to get, and then kind of figure out, okay, how can I help them at the same time, but still get what I need out of it. So I would say that's the first one. Pick up the phone and start talking to people.
I like that. Get through the no's to get to a yes.
Yes.
Good. Question for you. I want to dig a little deeper. When it comes to business credit, when it comes to funding, I want to dig into that a little bit. This is something that, talking to both you and your dad in this business, I've learned so much from you guys, because this business, in terms of business credit funding, it's crazy. It's awesome. I learned things like years ago when I first started trying to apply, and then they would turn you down, and I would go, why did they turn me down? My credit's good. And then find out that the address was a P.O. box and they don't allow that. All these random little things, I often say, do what you do best and hire others to do what they do best. And I know you do that incredibly well. Get people lined up for both personal lines of credit, business funding.
Yes.
What is some of the things, somebody listening to this going, gosh, I've got a high sixes credit score, maybe 700, but where do I even begin? Of course, the simple answer is at the end of this podcast, we'll have them be able to reach out to you. But where do they begin, like, to understand business credit funding, that somebody listening to this may have access to $100, $200, $400,000 they don't even know they have access to because of an LLC they own, or because their score's good and they could start building business credit? Like, where to begin?
Yeah, so that is an open-ended question, because there are some factors that do play a role. So if your credit's intact, like you said, you got to make sure your LLC is built out right. So do you have the website? Do you have the right virtual office address set up if you don't have a brick and mortar location? Do you have the business phone line? Do you have a business bank account? I would say that's number one, though. You definitely need a business bank account. A lot of times, that is the one thing. They have everything else, especially the people that over hyper analyze. They have analysis paralysis. They do everything but the one thing that matters and have a business bank account. Banks want to see that. They want to see, okay, do you have that set up? Because that kind of signifies that, okay, you're an actual business because you have that set up for you to do business transactions. More likely than not now, most people have a website, they have a phone number. So I would say that's a great place to start, is just making sure you have, you're in good state, especially good standing with the Secretary of State. Do you have a website? Do you have a business phone, virtual address that's in compliance, as well as a business bank account? Those would be like my starting 5 that you should look at.
I like that. And something you guys did for me was went and got me business credit lines I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a powerful thing because, again, there's the little word I talk about that's leverage, whether it's leveraging AI and systems, whether it's leveraging time or leveraging other people's knowledge in this case, leveraging credit. Shoot, if you got an LLC, why not allow someone to say you have a 100K line of credit or a 300K line of credit? Don't have to use it, but you might find a deal next month and you go, gosh, I need to close in 6 days. Well, there you've got it. Always borrow money before you need it. What's the rule of thumb for someone who's like, I would love to get access to business lines of credit? What's the rule of thumb if they're thinking of their credit score, if they're thinking of how old their entity is?
So there's so many types of funding out there. We've gotten people funded, 6 figures in 24 hours, and they have a 500 credit score. So there's options. It's not always kind of like the coloring within the lines as far as the funding goes. We could get pretty creative. So I would say the one thing that you should evaluate if you don't have a credit is your business making the revenue, because that's one way that you can get funded based off your business's revenue. Typically, they like to go as low as 10,000. Anything lower is kind of not something that most lenders like to look at. And then if you do have the credit, you really just got to evaluate, do I have any recent inquiries within the past 30 to 60 days? Do I have, any new open accounts within the past 12 months, things like that? And that's just because, for those type of fundings that's based off your credit report, your profile, that makes the bank look at you like, are they lender worthy? So the banks look at that. They don't want anyone who's high risk because they want to make sure they're lending to someone that their money is secure, and they want to do repeat business. So I would say that's definitely something to look at.
Yasmin, I have another question for you.
All right, let's go.
When you're doing this business, where do you find your inspiration?
That's a great question. You stumped me on that one. I would say one thing that just inspires me is just, like I said, what I'm building in the future. That keeps me inspired at all times, knowing where I want to be in the future. So what do I need to do now to get myself there? As well as that keeps me going in all aspects. Like, okay, I got to keep moving forward to get myself there to that end result.
You mind sharing what that future looks like?
Yeah. So for me, and it might sound cliche to everyone, but I just want to build, legacy wealth. I want, generations to come to be able to kind of benefit off what I'm building now. So for me, not even any of the extras or the materials or anything like that, just have legacy wealth for generations to come, that they can, they have the privilege to live the life however they choose, to want to live that.
So I'm thinking a few years ago, there's Yasmin in med school and switch into business. What would you tell her?
I would tell her there is a different way to go about this. and you'll enjoy it a lot more. That's one thing that, I wish the mindset I have now is the mindset I had then, because I would have saved myself a lot of time and would have got started way sooner. But, everything happens in due time. So just, I would tell her that there's a different way to do this in a better way that is more fulfilling.
You're talking about legacy wealth. You're talking about building wealth for generations to come. Like, what? Why is that? Is it impact? Is it helping people? Like, what's the deeper reason?
Yeah, I would say impact and helping people. And then also, I didn't grow up that way. So just making sure that that is secured for, future generations to come. Now I went to school. That wasn't for me. I went to school because everyone said, that's what you're supposed to do. You have to go to school and get a career and, be a serious adult. And so, I want generations to come from, that come from my lineage to be able to have the option, like, you know what? I just want to stay home and be creative and draw and color and paint. And they have that access and privilege to do that because of something that I contributed to. So that would be very fulfilling for me.
What's one thing? If your dad listens to this podcast, what's one thing you would want to say to him?
I would want to say, well, first, thanks for, he was my mentor, that got me into this. He taught me a lot about, even both sides of the business, real estate and, the business funding portion of everything. So him just teaching me that and being a mentor is one thing that I'm very grateful for.
What's the thing? Let's say there's entrepreneurs in their 20s listening and they take inspiration from you. But maybe they think they have a disadvantage that you don't. Maybe they hear you work with family and they're like, oh, I wish I had a family I could work with like that. Mm-hmm. Or maybe they hear you're young and they think, well, I'm already 30. I'm too old to start. Whatever things might be going through their head. What do you say to them of how to think and how to overcome disadvantages that other people might see? Because that's something I've noticed about you is you never make excuses. And, we can always find excuses, but you've had plenty of obstacles in the time we've known each other, and you just keep rolling. Yeah. You don't let anything stop you. Yeah. And I never hear you complain. I never hear you make excuse. You just make money and make stuff move. It's like, what is that word of advice for somebody in their 20s listening to this?
I would say one thing that has really helped me is just keep going is life's going to throw you disadvantages and challenges, but you have the power to internalize that and make that become a part of your identity and who you are. Or if you do make it become a part of your identity, you can use that to continue to propel you forward. I feel like that's one thing that I've done very well is, we all go through things. We're humans, and some things we can't control, but the things we can control, we can use that to fuel us forward into the right direction and get to where we want to be. So I would say if you're someone who's making excuses or feeling bad about yourself, given your situation, don't just use that to push you forward, because there's so much power in using that to fuel you more than, allow that to kind of keep you stable and idle and not get to where you want to be.
That's good. That's good advice.
Yeah.
I like that. What's success mean to you? Time goes on. You're building legacy wealth. You're working with the family. Future life is rolling. What is success? What's a day in the life of Yasmin?
I would say for me, success would be just waking up and having the freedom to do what I want, spend my time how I want. So wake up in the morning. If I, want to go to a coffee shop and take my time, sit in front of the cafe and read my book, I can do that. If I, want to go to the gym and, spend 2-3 hours at the gym, then I can do that. So to me, success is just having the freedom to, structure your day and your life as however you see that fit for yourself. So I would say I'm living that now. Will definitely love to live it more fully as I continue to build and step more out of the business as well. But I think to me, that's what success is. It's just doing things how you see fit for yourself and, living in that and owning that.
Last question. What's your hype song when you feel crappy?
Oh, I have to think about that. So actually, it looks like in my heavy rotation, I have a lot of, I would either say it might be Drake or Nipsey Hussle.
Okay.
Maybe Nipsey Hussle. He to me, he's very if I listen to his lyrics, he's very motivational, and it's just a lot of his music is geared towards, keep going, don't give up.
Yeah.
You have to keep going. His thing is it's a marathon. So you got to keep going. A marathon is not ran in one day. It can be, but most times marathon is something that's continuous over time. So just keep going.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yasmin, thank you for showing up, sharing your wisdom and insights and hanging
Yeah,
out.
thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun. And I hope, anyone that's listening to this, I hope I can inspire you to keep going or begin the journey, get started, and, get to where you want to be.
Absolutely. Well, somebody listening to this wants to reach out to you. Maybe they want business credit funding. Maybe they just want to make a friend. Maybe they want you to guide them. How do they reach Yasmin Selvan?
Yeah, Facebook.
Perfect.
Yasmin Selvan on Facebook.
Yasmin Selvan on Facebook. And any final thoughts, my friend?
Yeah, no, this was great, and I hope me sharing a little bit of my story can inspire someone else. And for everyone listening, feel free to reach out to me. More than glad to help, whether that be real estate, business funding, or even if you just want someone to kind of talk to where you should get started with your journey. I'm more than glad to help. I love to help people.
Thank you for being here. I'm going to end the recording with that.
All
and
right.
you have a wonderful one.
Thanks, Andrew.